Welcome to Hochoka Podcast.
We say this phrase, Mitákuye Oyá'sin. It means all my relatives, all my relations. Once you have that belief, you find it easier to care for people, to have compassion for other people, to practice generosity and reciprocity. Those are the words of Ben Sherman, grandfather of today's guest, whose pursuit of a nursing degree embodies his teaching. Hello, Mitákuye, and welcome to Hochoka here at the center of St. Joseph's Indian School's campus. I'm Scott Wooster, your Hochoka host. Today we're joined by Danielle Arpan, 2017 graduate of St. Joe's who went on to receive a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, caring for other people, having compassion for other people, practicing generosity and reciprocity. She joins us for an episode in our series where we visit with alumni called Talking Thiyóšpaye. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Absolutely.
Thiyóšpaye. I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me here to speak on the podcast today.
Absolutely. It's good to have you back on campus. And you went to school here. You graduated 8th grade in 2013, graduated from Chamberlain High School in 2017, which puts us about 7 years past high school, and your life has taken some twists and turns since that time. And here you are back on our campus from Phoenix or Tempe in Arizona. What brings you back to our campus today?
Yeah, today I was asked by St. Joe's to come here to speak at the 8th grade graduation ceremony. So I'm really honored that I was chosen to come speak to the 8th graders. I think they're extremely inspiring to me, and
right.
So it just means so much to me that I'm here today.
Yeah, there's a huge connection to those kids because you've been in that seat before. Mm-hmm. You remember what that was like in 2013 when you sat in the pews in the chapel right behind us here?
A little bit, yeah. It was a while ago, but
right.
Yeah, I definitely remember, some of those feelings that I was feeling whenever I made this huge accomplishment and my family came to watch, and it was just such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and that's something in your message tomorrow that you'll be able to connect with these kids on for sure.
Yeah.
And that was the first of just a few stops where graduation is concerned. Of course, you did that one. You did one from high school, and then I assume you've done one. Was it SDSU? You graduated in 4 years up at SDSU?
Yeah.
So your program was nursing up at SDSU?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and then I also graduated with a minor in American Indian and Indigenous Studies.
Awesome. You have so much to share with them, and I am very anxious to hear what you have to say or to see the reaction from the graduates when you share your message with them tomorrow. You graduated from South Dakota State with your degrees 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Where have you gone since then?
Yeah, so since I graduated, I actually spent a little bit of time in Rapid City, my hometown, studying for the NCLEX, which is the nursing boards. Mm-hmm. So I spent three months studying for that, and then I went on to take that. And then next was the process of applying for nursing jobs. Mm-hmm. And I knew since I was in college that I wanted to work for Phoenix Indian Medical Center, which is where I'm at right now, in Phoenix. And so eventually I moved on to there in November of 2022. And so I've now been working at Phoenix Indian Medical Center for a year and a half now, and on the medical surgical unit as a registered nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you knew you wanted to go to Phoenix. Were you aware of that when you were in school, or that's okay?
Yeah. So I think it's a really beautiful story, like my whole process of moving down to Phoenix, because I had this circle of support around me the whole entire time leading from from the start of college with the American Indian Student Center at SDSU in Brookings, but also my last year of school, I moved on to the the Rapid City campus.
Yep.
To finish out my last year with the Native American Nursing Education Center. So that center was being led by Beverly Stabber Warren, who is now passed on.
Yeah.
And it was her and Kathy Labonte and Ty Ruff and Valeria Big Eagle. And they are 4 amazing, inspiring Native women that I got to have that like circle of support around me during my last year of college, and it was specifically Bev, Unchi Bev, that really inspired me to step forward and go down to Phoenix. But yeah, the biggest reason I went down to Phoenix is so I could get good experience within the nursing field, because their IHS facility down there provides a higher level acuity for patients than here, where it's mostly clinics. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a double thing, getting really good experience, and then also my mentor Bev was a nurse down there for like many years, and created so much change down there as a nurse, and so she really inspired me and is a big part of my story, I would say.
Yeah, which is great. And we let off with that a little bit in the introduction too, and you mentioned that she's your Unchi. And so for our viewers, is she, are you blood relatives?
No.
Okay. And I love this. So we might have some viewers who don't understand the whole, and we alluded to it in the beginning too. We said Mitákuye Oyá'sin. So, maybe you could explain how you consider her to be a relative, because I think this is the beautiful piece of it.
Yeah. So within Lakota culture, we consider everybody a relative. So, like even going on to like our cousins, there are siblings, like our first cousins are our siblings. If you grew up with them, they're your sibling. And then with Bev, the NANIC, the Native American Nursing Education Center, their approach to mentoring and advising young, Native nursing students is that they don't treat it like it's like an educational atmosphere. It is that, but it's also family. And I think that's like the biggest thing, I think, that leads to success for the nursing students who go through the program there, because they provide for so much more than just your educational needs. They provide for like your like living needs, like day to day, for like your spiritual, mental health needs if needed, like in NIPI, setting that up if you need it. And that was something that I needed, whenever I first moved back home. And they were able to do that for me, and just forming connections with the community, and it's like family. So she's my Unchi. We may not be blood relatives, but definitely
and it's a very strong connection. Certainly
in our community, it's more about the impact and the bond you have that defines what you call somebody, I guess, rather than blood.
Yep, absolutely. And she was a great impact on your life as a family member, mentor, and as an educator too, which I think is great. So I think it's great. We've had on the show lately, we've talked a lot about different kinds of learning styles. We've talked about a very linear European approach to learning, and we've talked about more of an indigenous sand off the edges sort of approach to learning things and an approach to life. And I'm very proud of you, because you walk well in both of those worlds. Obviously, in order to go to South Dakota State and get a nursing degree, you're crossing off, checking boxes and meeting all the standards that go into a very formal education, and then ending up over in Rapid City and just being in what sounds like, kind of a cradle almost for you to go there and to have these people mentor you and treat you in such a good way and give you such direction is really a powerful thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and while we're on that point, I just want to go on to say that it wasn't just at the Nanick where I got to, form those really good bonds, because back in Brookings at the American Indian Student Center,
Mm-hmm.
that was like a home to me.
Yeah.
Being there and the atmosphere that the staff created there for us, specifically with like Morgan Catlett Osborne and Erica Moore, and like many others who worked there. And then also just the friends that I made, like other Native students there at the American Indian Student Center.
Yep.
It really set me up for success, I think, to be able to have that home when I was so far away from home.
Right. And you've done that many times in your life. Coming to St. Joe's was a leap to go that far from home. Going to college is a leap, right? Going to Arizona is a big leap for you. You had to have the courage to take advantage of those opportunities that were given to you. And this is a little bit of an aside. We talked to the 8th graders this morning. I did as a counselor with the ones that are going to graduate. Mm-hmm. And your old counselor from high school, I told you I was going to talk about this on air, but she said, I had a girl who through 8th grade was a 4.0 student, and she got to her freshman year, and she decided that sleeping was more fun than school, and came out in her sophomore year and said, I'm not sure what I was thinking my freshman year, but I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity that's given to me to get involved, to just make friends and to put myself out there. And truly, I've heard every graduate, they talk about that, but you embody it. You really did get yourself out there and got involved with everything that you could possibly do, and it's led to the point where you are now, and I assume it will continue. I don't believe that you're stopping for the rest of your life to not take advantage of opportunities. So what do you think about that? What do you think about what Amanda said? First of all, if she was here, you'd both have a laugh. I know that. But
definitely. So coming from my experience being an 8th grader here and, kind of growing into adulthood here, I think I'm really thankful in many ways that I came here to St. Joe's, and I was surrounded by, like my sisters, basically, other, Native young girls, and having like that, I wouldn't have had that if I grew up at home. I have siblings, but they're so much older than me, and so I basically felt like just like a single child growing up, and so I got this opportunity to be around other girls, and like eventually we had guys in our home too at one point whenever we were seniors, and just getting to experience that and be a part of this beautiful community of all of these kids, and and then also like the house parents that I had as well, where they played a big role as well in my life in showing me, what it means to, like love, like showing you what like love and care looks like, I had that at home too, but it was I'm thankful to have that here.
Yep.
And as far as like my freshman year that she's talking about, I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what was going on in my head at that time, and sleeping sleeping all day and stuff, because in my head I was still processing leaving home from Rapid City and being away from my family and losing relatives during that time as well. Some big relatives for me. My aunt passed before I came to St. Joe's, and so it was just a really big, like a really big transition. And for me, it took me a long time to feel like I could not only come out of my shell, but be comfortable, you know? And so it did take until my junior year, actually, for me to feel like I could step out and really, really comfortable. And so I think it was the biggest thing for me to feel like comfortable with myself is to just, you know, get out there and try things. So I joined multiple clubs and sports during my time at Chamberlain. And I think that's what really, really helped me, you know, become stronger in myself and to be, you know, happier is to just, be involved with other things like volleyball and cheerleading and plays and like other clubs at CHS. So I'm really thankful for that because it set me up for success once I got to college too, to continue to join things once I got into college. And that's kind of one of the biggest things that I want the 8th graders tomorrow to know when I give my speech is that I want them to figure that out sooner than I did.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because they all have to.
Yeah. And it really took me really, truly until college to realize I have the power to make any change that I want to and, you know, band together other people who also believe in change. And I wish it didn't take me that long. And so I really hope that, you know, they can find that out sooner so they can know that if something's not right, then, you know, you can be a leader, you can change things. And yeah, that's big.
We talked a little bit about your unchi. And we also got that great quote from your Lala, Ben Sherman, your grandfather, Ben Sherman, in the introduction. Do you want to talk about him and share what he's meant to you?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm really thankful I get the space to continue to talk about my grandpa because he passed just this last April. April 5th, and it was a big blow for our family because my grandpa was like the patriarch within our family, and he's done a lot to bring our family together and like create connections within our family whenever we weren't able to do it ourselves. And he's also just very inspiring as well. I think that a lot of what he represents as a person and a Lakota man is what many should strive for. And some of those things were, for one, he was a very humble man. He didn't really talk about like a lot of his accomplishments, but he was a very accomplished man. He was he started as an engineer, actually, before he moved on to his later profession. So he worked for NASA whenever he was in his younger years, designing space modules. And I remember growing up learning that he designed a module that went to the moon, actually. And just all these super cool things that when I was a kid, I never would have imagined being able to do something like that. And so having such a huge role model in my life from a young age, I think was like a huge thing that set me up for success as a kid. Because if I didn't have that, then I don't think I would have had the confidence to know like I can do something like that.
Right.
And once again, going back to the 8th graders, I think that's what they need too. They need to see their people, you know, going on to do whatever their dreams are.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he eventually moved on to being working for World Indigenous Native Tourism Alliance. I think I might be saying that wrong, but WINTA. And he basically spent many of his like latter years traveling the world to meet other indigenous communities and, you know, teaching them about his tribe, learning about their tribes, talking about topics like hospitality, indigenous hospitality, and our communities, how our hospitality functions.
Right,
and
the generosity piece of it.
yeah, and, you know, kind of talking about what we have in common, because so many indigenous tribes all over the world share that same indigenous value of hospitality. And he talked a lot about that, about generosity, and I think that's another quality that he had, giving away, and how much you have to give away tells how wealthy you truly are. And then also, I would say that he always talked about values as well. And I think that's one reason why I'm choosing the topic for my speech tomorrow to talk about values, is because that was something that he always talked about whenever he gave speeches or whenever we talked together. Is any time I was going through something where I didn't know what to do, I would go to him. And he would bring it back to values each time. And that was really important to me. And moving forward, that's how I'll continue to live my life as a Lakota woman, is bringing my values into every decision that I make. Because that's what defines who you are at the end of the day. It's not what your profession is, or, you know, how you look, or
right.
all of that. It's your values and how you treat others.
He instilled something very special in you. That's awesome. I'm going to go back to your childhood. I'm going to circle around, and you knew from an early age you wanted to be a nurse. Did you? You thought about that when you were young? Tell me about that a little bit.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't get to talk about this a lot. I don't know why. I'm just like not asked that very often.
Right. Yeah.
But the first like reason or like spark in my head that I wanted to be a nurse was because I spent a large amount of my childhood in hospitals, actually, and not a lot of people know that about me. They don't know that I was born with like a ear defect. It's called microtia, where the outer part of my ear is underdeveloped.
Okay.
So it also ended up affecting like other components of my body, like, you know, balance, and of course like proprioception. You know. And you know, always having to sit on a specific side of somebody because I can only hear on this side. And I love talking about it because not a lot of people know about microtia.
Right.
And it's, you know, it has a big effect on your life. It's definitely a disability, especially now that I'm within my nursing profession. And it's vital to know information.
Absolutely.
You know, and to hear things. But anyways, I grew up in kind of like in a hospital environment already, being in and out of hospitals and working with nurse practitioners. And so every time that I would go for my checkups or for my surgeries, they would always be there. And I just remember that I remember their impact so much more than the impact of the surgeons. Because they were the ones that were there like day in and day out, helping me when I was in pain, and like caring for me and making me feel important, you know? And in addition to what they were already doing, you know, like taking care of me, giving me medicine, making sure that, you know, I wasn't like getting worse, you know, watching out for complications, everything. And it's so important, and I think a lot of people already value the importance of nurses, but I'm honored to be a nurse and to be able to be that for patients. But yeah, so I knew probably when I was around like 6 that I wanted to be a nurse, and I kind of, you know, moved around, changed my mind a few times, but I came back to it. And I'm really thankful that I did.
Yep, that's a big pay it forward kind of moment. Something that you got, and you're able to carry that on. I really like that. Danielle, the Lakota have a word, kihelakayo, and it means keep going. And what has been the thing that has kept you motivated? Because there's a lot of things that knock us off the path. What's kept you going through school and into a new career?
That really is the question of all of our lives. If you want to make changes within your community and make the world a better world for our youth, that's what it's all about for me. But I think it's important to also talk about motivation is not something that you're always going to feel. And it's important to realize you're not always going to feel motivated at times, and you shouldn't, strive to always be motivated, because, we live in a capitalist society that is hoping that you stay motivated, drink your coffee, go to work. Everyone's tired, But I think so it's important to realize that it's okay not to be motivated, actually. And you got to give yourself grace, because, we live in a difficult society, especially as a Native person. And so I think the more important thing is discipline. If you really, if you want to stay, working towards the path of something, and realizing that, okay, I don't feel motivated at this time, but you need to have strength and to have discipline, and it's not easy.
We're always talking about what motivates you in junior high and high school. And truly, it's really hard to as an adult to find those motivators for kids, and it's such a hard thing. But what I hear you saying, and I think what comes through, is that when you don't have that motivation, when you lose that, you have to rely. You're not always going to have it, but when you don't, you have to rely on discipline in order to get you through. And you've got loads of it to get where you are, for sure. And I just want to end, if I can, by saying that you talked a lot about your grandpa, who you lost a month ago, and he walked in a couple of different worlds, and you've made that clear. You obviously love him very much and are very proud of him. He did the very linear NASA piece of it, but he also brought that indigenous piece to it, and I can't think that he wouldn't be completely proud of who you are and this walk that you're taking here. So what an honor for you to be doing what you're doing, and to be that person for the people that you stood on their shoulders, if that makes sense. And I know he and the rest of your family are proud of you, but on behalf of St. Joe's, if I might, I also need to say that we're awfully proud of you too, and you're we love all the kids, and we're definitely proud of you and what you've accomplished. So I want to just thank you for being who you are, but also thank you for coming in here and sharing your story today, and for sharing it tomorrow. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and, allowing me to speak, especially about my grandpa and about the...
Absolutely. Wopila, Danielle. And we also say thank you to our viewers for joining us here at Ho-Chokeh at the center of St. Joseph's Indian School's campus. Until next time, stay centered.